Or are you trying to stretch that neck tightness away? Or maybe you're using tools to relieve that neck stiffness feeling that you get. Let us show you a better way to address that neck stiffness today. Rehab. Welcome back to the channel. This is Dr. Arash Maksudi, today talking all about neck stiffness. Now, if you've been enjoying our channel, make sure to smash that like button down below. It helps with the YouTube algorithm. Now let's dive into it. Neck stiffness. It's a commonly misunderstood region of the body because people will feel that neck stiffness, whether it's on the side or in the back, and what they'll think is, if I feel that stiffness, I must continue to stretch. While that's not necessarily true, we'll put an image right to the side here, and you'll notice actually my right scapula is a little more depressed or lowered than my left. And I feel the tightness on my right side. So my brain doesn't realize the difference between if something is short in being pulled or lengthened in being pulled. So if I continue to stretch that upper trap, how people usually stretch by bringing the ear towards the opposite armpit, what I'm actually doing is feeding into the issue and making the issue worse because I'm lengthening and stretching something that actually needs the opposite. It needs to be strengthened. It needs to be loaded up, and stretching will continue to depress and lower that and feed into that issue. So what I want to show you guys is a different spin on how to address neck stiffness, and this is a idea of strengthen to lengthen, but also strengthen something that you feel like is tight, not just stretch. So strengthening to lengthening only works if you go through full range of motion. There are a few different exercises that I want to show you today, and I'll show you different variations of each one. That way you can find the one that works best for you. So the first one that I'm going to do is a barbell shrug, where I get next to a barbell, but I want to focus on keeping my arms a bit abducted. So I don't want to keep them right by my side. I don't want to bring it too far out. This is 90 degrees. This is 0 degrees. I want to stay about 30 degrees. So this position here is where I want to begin. Now, I grab the barbell, and then from here, in addition to what most people think of as a shrug just by going up, I also want to pull back. So I go up and back. I squeeze, and then I slowly lower back to starting position. And while I do this, I want to go through that full range of motion. I'm not just staying up top. I want to get the shoulders to depress back to that starting position. And then I pull back up. So that's one exercise. And I want to show you a few different variations of that shrug. So in case you don't have a barbell, you can still build up strength of your upper traps. Now here is a band that you can do the exact same thing with. I'm going to load it up by doubling up the strength of the band, holding onto the band on each side, keeping my arms a bit abducted. And with this variation, you're going to have to lean over and hinge at the hips a tiny bit. Now from here, I'm pulling back up, squeezing the shoulders, and then lowering back to starting position. And I want to go through that full range of motion as well with this exercise. But again, we want to build up strength of those muscles. And if for some reason you feel like you only want to strengthen one side, actually this is an easy way that you can isolate each side. If you anchor a band from something a bit lower, step a bit away, and then from here, the same idea where you shrug and then lower back down. And I'm not going to do it, but if you want to isolate with any of these variations, you definitely can. With the shrug, there's also the commonly performed dumbbell shrug, and I'm going to show you a different spin on the traditional dumbbell shrug, where you actually perform what's called a monkey shrug, where not only are you pulling up, you're also bending your elbows and really getting those shoulder blades to go as high as possible, and then you lower back to starting position. And then you're just repeating this motion back and forth. You don't want to arch the neck as you do this. Keep the neck strong. Really build the upper trap, those scapula muscles in the back there. Don't let this neck move back and forth. So those are all different variations of the shrug. And I'm actually curious, if you have tried any of these 3 variations, drop a comment below. Let us know which one is your favorite variation of the shrug. Now, 2 other exercises that I want to show you. The next one is a kettlebell upright row. I'm standing up here, hands on the kettlebell, and now I want to make sure my scapulas are engaging and initiating this movement. If not, I'm just doing this with my shoulders, which is fine depending on your goal. But for the purpose of this video, we want to build up the strength of those suprascapular muscles, the muscles on top of the shoulder blades. So we want to initiate with the shoulder blades and then let the shoulders follow, get up top, and then lower back to starting position. And we'll repeat this motion back and forth. And you'll notice the difference. If I do this without initiating my shoulder, there's going to be no motion from my shoulder blade. But I want to get those shoulder blades to move, get up tall as you perform that upright row. Now, I saved the best for last. This exercise is you've probably seen this before. It's a face pull with the band, but I want to make sure that you're performing it properly for purposes of building up those suprascapular muscles. So I got the band here. I'll have my back facing the camera, so that way you can all see the muscles that I'm recruiting. So when I pull, same thing as the upright row, I'm pulling back with my shoulder blades and letting my arms follow as I get up where the band meets my forehead, and then I lower back down to that starting position and repeat back and forth. And since the goal is load, if this may be too light for you, that actually was a little bit too light for me, I'm going to double this up actually. And this is actually a cool trick, because when you do the face pull, no longer will the band hit your forehead. There's nothing in between. So you can go through potentially more range of motion. So now I'm here, and I want to load it, so I have double the strength, and then I do the face pull, squeeze back, and then lower back to starting position. And yes, this will build up my shoulder a ton, but I want to make sure that I'm pulling back with my shoulder blade as I do this. And I'm not so worried about the rotation of the shoulder if this is a shoulder exercise. I want to really make sure I get that scapula engagement. All right, so those were a few different ways that you can actually build up the strength of those muscles that you're probably stretching a little bit too much. Now let us know how these exercises felt. We do have a full-on neck and mid-back prehab program. You can check out the link right here. This will take you through a progression of movements and progress you to a lot of these loaded-based exercises. And if you're dealing with some pain and discomfort, we would recommend checking out this program. So thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.